Good evening to all our beautiful listeners. We have listeners from the United States, from France, Korea, Africa, Canada, England, Dominica, Antigua, Barbados, Trinidad, Jamaica, pretty much all over the world. We just want to say thank you, and good evening. Thank you for joining us today. You are in for a really, really great treat. I am so excited about today. Oh my God, I'm so excited. And this is one of my fellow Dominicans, so you guys can know I am extremely excited. I love my people, and I love that they are super. We're like superhumans, we are empowered, we're strong, and it's just a joy to have the guests that we have today. So I just want to say thank you, and I want you guys to take this time. If you're watching via the channel, go ahead and share the link with your friends. Invite everybody. I always say invite your friends, invite your neighbors, invite your enemies, because you want them to know the good things that are happening. So just invite everybody. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and share the live, and just tell them that this is a show that they do not want to miss. I'm serious about this, guys. I'm giving you like 1 minute. You have to go out and call the people, whoever you can call, tell them they need to get here to be on the Imagine Me TV show. This is real life, real talk with Arthur Lawrence. And I just want to say one more time, good evening, and thank you for tuning in. Tonight, we are honored to have one of my countrymen as our featured guest on our show today. This is the first time actually we'll meet talking here live. His name is Dr. Dale A. Dangleben. He is a trauma medical director, surgical trauma. And guys, I'm just gonna read a few highlights from his bio, because when I printed it, it was like about, let me see, like 10 or 12 pages. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. So I know he's going to be able to empower everybody today. There's something for everyone in there. But anyway, he is an associate professor of surgery at the Geisinger Commonwealth School of Medicine. He's the chief editor of the Caribbean Health Magazine, board certified American Board of Surgery, the chairman of Trauma Peer Review, director of EMS Night Medical Executive Committee. Some of the awards he has received a Humanitarian Recognition Award for the Dominica Diaspora Community, Excellence in Education, first place oral presentation at the Pennsylvania Committee on Trauma. His education, he's an undergraduate doctor of medicine. He has a Bachelor of Arts from Hunter College, major chemistry and a minor mathematics. Oh God, this were two of the subjects I did not like. I actually was in nursing school, believe it or not, but I did the first chemistry class. The second one, I was like, you know what? And the math class, they really killed me. I was like, nope, I can't do this. I quit. But thank God, I found my purpose. Presentation, he has done a lot of presentation. The poster presentation at the 2002 Pennsylvania Critical Care Conference, the Back to Starter, the 2.5 port, is that the forget that one. Brachial artery aneurysm with blue finger syndrome. Oh my goodness. He has written a lot of books. We will show you a few of them today, and he will even give you more information. He has done numerous lectures, a guest speaker at the Black History Month, guest speaker at William Allen High School Latino Club, ABC of Trauma. I saw something about in Atlanta there. You need to come back to Atlanta. Something about medical marijuana. We'll be talking about that. Plant the seed to better health in Dominica, West Indies. Oh my God. And the list just goes on and on and on. So guys, without any further ado, help me welcome my guest today, Dr. Dangleben. How are you doing?
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's truly an honor to be here tonight. I'm doing great.
The pleasure is ours. And I know my friend who spoke so highly about you. I know Sister Kathy, she's listening, and I thank her for giving me this amazing introduction, because I know we just spoke a little while before face to face. I guess streaming, but we've been friends on Facebook, and I mean, I'm really honored and happy to know someone like you, because it's really encouraging to me. Because when I saw so many of the things that you have done, it kind of really encouraged me, because a lot of times people will be telling me, oh, you're doing too much. You don't need to do this. Stick to one thing. And I'm like, I'm an entrepreneur. This is not, you telling me that, you know what? No, this it's not going to happen, you know? So when I read your bio, I was like, whoa, because I maybe have like 7 things, but I was like, woo,
Yeah.
what amazing, amazing,
Thank
amazing.
you, thank you. Well, it's about the hard work that you put in, and it showcases in my CV. But I always want to tell people that it can be done. I think that's the focus.
Yes, yes. Well, welcome to our show. We are so honored and delighted to have you. And we have about an hour. I'm just gonna get right into it, because we want to make sure we cover as much as we can today. So tell me, what was your motivation to leave your teaching? Because we talk about, you were a teacher in Dominica, but what was your motivation to leave your teaching profession in Dominica and pursue the
Yeah,
medical journey?
a lot of folks don't notice it. I do believe in the higher power. I won a green card lottery. That's how I ended up in the United States.
What a blessing.
Um, yeah, so I was teaching at the St. Mary's Academy back then, and my good friend Matt Peltier, who has a show on Q95, told me about this thing that was in the newspaper. You fill it out and you send it to the embassy, and we all did it.
Wow.
And about several months later, close to a year, I got this mail saying that I've been chosen, and I didn't believe it at first, but January 2nd, 1991, I flew to Barbados to first for the medical exam, and then January 3rd, I was in the embassy, had 4 interviews, and won a green card to the United States. So that's how I ended up here.
That's
So
an
it was, the path was there. At that time, I wanted to be a chemist because I
mm,
taught chemistry at the academy, and that was my goal, to either become a bench research PhD chemist or a chemical engineer, and that was my focus until I went to Hunter and things changed. But I always said there was this force that guide me, because medicine found me.
wow.
Medicine found me. Yeah.
That's amazing. I think
Yeah.
when you have purpose, you know, God will open the doors. Because
Hmm.
I'm sure a lot of people apply for that lottery, and you got it. And look at the difference that you have made. Look at so much you have accomplished, and how you are empowering others, empowering us to go for our dreams. And it's possible. It's hard work,
Right.
yes, but it's possible. And that's one of my favorite quotes from Les Brown: your dreams are possible. So once again, it's just an honor to know you. And I know that our viewers will really be empowered by your story. And as we talk about the different things that you're doing, some of the things that you have in the works. So
Hmm.
tell us about your journey, the challenges, the pitfalls,
Yeah.
self-realization that came through it.
Yeah. Well, pitfalls will always exist. Pitfalls is the uncertainty of certain things that happen, around you. And I was in for a rude awakening when I came to the United States, because we have this vision of America. So when I came up here, it was the pitfalls after pitfalls, and that's very important for people to understand. But it happened so quickly that I started studying what was happening around me. So for right now, we know America is a racist place, for example. That's you just have to be aware of that. It took a while, a few months for me to realize that, but I realized it quickly and then move, to deal with it. And one of the things I always used to jump out, with an anger, and I realized the way around certain things is to be silent and to observe and absorb what is happening around me. And I can tell you, the first job I had was a security guard. I was making $5.25 an hour, and I remember wearing that tight uniform. And I sat on the number 2 train in Brooklyn, and these young kids were laughing at me. I was 20, 21, 22 at the time, and it hit me. They don't know that I'd gone to college in Dominica. I was a teacher, and here I was. But all these little things, sort of built me up into what I was becoming, and being aware of the environment. We fall into this materialistic things. So I had the lion gold ring. I had a marijuana earring, and that to me was like, wow. I'm up here. And then I started understanding I don't need these things. I need to be smart about where I'm going. So early in the game, I recognized one of the biggest issues up here, which is being Black in this country. And I decided, you know what, I am going to study this, and I'm going to defeat this like I've done every exam in school. So this is a challenge of life. And I was able to do that and kept my cool even when they angered me. And, even during medical school and residency, and even to this day, I was able to, keep the outburst to a minimum. That does not mean I take nonsense from people, though.
Well, I guess you were being intentional and very strategic, because, it's like when you're building a house, you have a plan, you need to lay the foundation, and you were building. And I think that is very wise. I think that is wisdom that we can give even to whether it's the people here, or even those of us that come from the Caribbean islands, that, we know how to work hard.
Right.
And if we apply ourselves, if we decide in our minds, you know what, I'm going to go for this, I'm going to get it, we will. Right. A lot of people are saying to me, like, well, how did you get to where you are? And I've won competitions. The first competition I won, that was in 2009. I won like $1,000, and it was against college students, university students that were fashion designers that were trained for 4 years, and they had a whole year to plan for that competition. And then I think 1 month before the competition, someone dropped out. And you know me, I usually go for what I want. I will write letters, I will write emails, I'll make phone calls. And I saw something in a book, in a magazine, and I called them and I said, well, I'm up and coming fashion designer. I saw that you have the competition, so next year,
Right.
I want to be a part of it. She said, you know what? Someone just dropped out. I know it's just a month, but can you do it? I'm a person that usually say yes, because before I think, I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then I found out what it was. I was like, oh man, what did I get myself into? Because I had to design and create a dress for a model, hair, shoes. All of this was involved for $50. And I'm like, what? $50 is not even enough to buy your shoes.
Right.
But I knew this was a competition, and I knew that my design was going to be on the line. I spent about, I think maybe the design that I made, it was like a $300. It was a $300 look, and at that time that was a lot of money. And there's 15, 14 other students. They are from American whatever, CC80, the art school, and they have their degrees. And I was like, you know what? You all have a degree. I prayed over my dress. I was like, God, I want to win this. And some of the designs were really good. It was really good. And then when they called my name, I was like, wow, I won against all the students that were professionally trained. So I always tell people, it is possible. You put your mind to it, you do the work, you have faith, you don't just go doubting. Yes, sometimes we may doubt, but then you don't stay there. So our dreams are really possible. So that's what I just pray that the people that are hearing us and listening, that are seeing us, will be encouraged. And if it's something that they don't need, they can, just share it on to others. So we're gonna keep on going. When I think when I first got introduced to you, when we became friends, I one thing that stuck out to me, and I want you to, before we go into the medical part, to explain to me what does, and I don't know if I'm gonna say it right, Negmawa, is that what does that?
Negmawa is runaway slaves. These were the slaves that would run away and come down, burn the plantations to free their brothers and sisters. And I say I'm a Negmaon, a modern day Negmaon, and people have to understand that in the context of which I use it, meaning that I think outside of the box. James Baldwin said, I'm not your Negro, but I really mean that in the sense that I've moved away from the plantation, and I want to uplift those around me. So in the sense of getting away from the plantation, like the Negmaons, like Bala and Congore and Nani and Kujo, all these folks were Negmaons. They liberated their people. They fought. Some of them died doing that. So I view myself as a modern day Negmaon because I do not conform to what society tells us that I should be. I climbed the ladder and I became not just a physician, I became a surgeon and medical director. But that does not mean I have to be up there, cocking my nose up. Stretch the hand and help someone else. That's the whole concept of Negmaon, but not just the concept of the runaway slave, right? But also I want to use it in the context of somebody I always talk about, which is Marcus Garvey, and that is my big push these days. I consider myself a Garveyite and a Pan-Africanist in the truest sense, that we have to embrace each other and not the agenda of what other people who really deep down in their hearts don't like us. So that's what it's about. That's what I consider myself to be, a Negmaon.
Oh, thanks for explaining that to me. It makes a lot of sense now. Okay, let's move into the medical part of it. So, as a trauma medical director at the hospital where you're working right now, can you tell us what has your complete experience been with the COVID-19? We know that, I know people might be saying we talk about it too much, but we know it's still out there. But can you talk a little bit more about
Yeah,
that?
absolutely. Like I said, my role in the institution is trauma, and trauma never closes its doors. So when COVID was at the height in May and June, many of the subspecialties, the elective practices, were shut down. We did not shut down, right? So we still had the motor vehicle accidents, we still had the gunshot victims and the stab victims and the fall victims. So we never closed. And it was pretty scary in that sense that we were the ones receiving these patients in the emergency room. And, what did that mean for us in terms of, PPEs and all the protective devices? So we were very efficient, I think, very early in getting the things that we needed to get to protect ourselves. And COVID it's real. We can sit around and skirt around it based on our political affiliation, etc. I said there's two camps. There's people that believe the science, and there's people who don't believe the science. But I will say this: it's still there, and I do believe Dr. Fauci in terms of it will take a long time to go away. The young, healthy people who practice good, health, pulmonary hygiene, etc., might not, die from this. But I think the morbidly obese, the elderly, and the people with predisposed conditions will be affected. So we have to we cannot be selfish in that manner, and we have to pay attention to the science. I consider myself a scientist. I believe in science, but there's a lot of conspiracy theories going around now. Until it comes home. I talk about the chickens coming home to roost. Look at what's his name, Kane, the gentleman that went to that conference, and he's now dead because he went to that. So these are the people that I'm worried about. So it is very, very important to wear the mask. Social distances is very, very important to continue to do this. And we cannot sweep things. We try to sweep things under the rug, but I can tell you, it always comes back and rears its head in the way it needs to and wants to. So I would say continue to be very, very cautious out there. In the hospital, we're still extremely, extremely cautious. When I walk around with my, my alcohol spray, and I'm very vigilant about washing hands. These are things that we should have been doing all along. But what's going to happen from this whole experience is it's going to be part of us. It's going to be an innate part of us. The washing of the hands, the just being more careful, the hugging, the kissing, and everything like that is going to change our outlook. So society is going to change because of that. And historically, these things happen and change the technology also. Look at what we're doing right now. We're doing more teleconferencing and things like that. And you see people showcasing their talent. A lot of people are going to get very rich from this, and because they found themselves at home and finding new talents that they're going to embrace.
Well, I think, okay, there we go. I think we have you back. We lost you for a minute, for a second.
I'm there.
Okay, good. You were talking about a lot of people were showcasing their talent.
Yeah, a lot of people are showcasing their talents, and a lot of people are going to, if they do it properly, they could leverage, what's happening to their own benefit in terms of business and being an entrepreneur and things like that. So we have people like you and I have to motivate them and uplift them to take it to the next step.
Yes, and then that's what we're doing. That's our job. And
yeah,
I'm up for the challenge. Okay, so what is your insight though to the treatment and management of COVID-19 patients, and what do you see as the way forward? And you did mention about it having a lasting impact.
Well, I think we have to be responsible for our own selves, and those around us that we care about. So the long-term effect is this is going to change healthcare, period. Whether it ends in December, whether it ends next summer or next fall, it's going to change our whole outlook on how we deal with things. So that's what I think is important here, that we need to stop being selfish in terms of many things come down to greed. And even in healthcare, I talk about that in every aspect where I see greed. But a lot of the things that people are pushing, the agendas that they're pushing, they pull their family and their children out of it. For example, the man in the highest office, his kid was not going to go back to school. So we have to be very, very careful and not be ignorant in terms of what is out there, and do the research. If somebody tells you something, don't take it at face value. Go and look it up and read on it and educate yourself. And I think that's very, very important in all of this too. All these conspiracy theories, it's all funny and games until it hits your doorstep. So as a physician, and I consider myself a scientist, I would say continue to be cautious. This thing is going to be around for a while. And how the outcomes, how things play out, is it going to be like a flu shot type of thing down the line? Because the big talk right now is vaccines, and we become very paranoid about these things, so we have to be very, very careful and educate yourself. I tell everyone, we have the ability to educate ourselves. Facebook is not a university. Google is not necessarily a university. Wikipedia is not a university. Find the sources of good scientific information, and if you don't understand it, ask somebody who can explain it to you.
That's very good. Very good advice. Thank you very much. And we're going to just keep on going because, we want to use up as much of the time that we have. You have presented in many lectures, publications, and books embracing real topics. Some are of great interest to us. And I was wondering, could you share some insight on elderly that falls? Some of them fall a lot. Also, the medical marijuana. And there's another part too, but I don't know if you want me to tell you all of them, or if you remember, or if you want to just.
Well, I could just talk. I could just talk on. There's several mechanisms of traumas that we deal with, and falls is a very high, one. I can tell you right now, top of my head, about 60% of what we do is elderly falls, and that's a huge problem in terms of healthcare and cost in this country. People are not even aware of that. And I'm not just talking about the elderly patients who are at home, even the nursing homes, and the skilled nursing facilities. And we there's a term called recidivism, meaning that they come back all the time. So falls in the elderly is a big issue. I have presented on it. I've talked about it because it's one of the things that we see, and I think we need to pay more attention to that. There's a culture up here that we put people in nursing homes, et cetera, et cetera. But even there, it happens. And as you get older, there's something called the frailty scale. As you get older, you get frail. There's a frailty scale. Someone might just fall from the couch and break the hip. So it's very important to understand that. And I talk about it. And what has happened in this country is people are getting older, especially women.
Yeah.
Are getting older. So you have more 90-year-olds now and 80-year-olds, the octogenarians and the nonagenarians. And we have to pay close attention because they're going to fall, they're going to break their hips, they're going to be in the hospital for several days, they're going to go to rehab. It's very, very taxing on the healthcare system. But again, it's something that we talk about trauma and we talk about the gunshot victims, the high energy, exciting things. But the elderly falls is a big part of what we do in this country in terms of trauma. So yeah, and then talk about medical. I am for medical marijuana, and I think we've missed the boat. The people that were discriminated against and jailed and beaten over medical marijuana. There's a history there, and I speak very forcefully on that, even as an allopathic physician. Folks that benefited from sending us to jail are now the ones benefiting from selling marijuana. Marijuana is I could lecture on marijuana for several hours because there's a history behind it, but there's also science behind it. And people don't understand that what happened to marijuana in the 1930s with the Marijuana Act in 1937, but even before that, and what happened, all over the world. So CBD was actually discovered before THC, which is the psychoactive part of marijuana. I think that was 1970, 1969, and CBD was even before that. I want to say out of Israel. But people have to understand that there's several components within marijuana that's been experimented right now. And what I will tell people that's going to shock a lot of people is we have receptors in our brains and in our system, in our endocrine system, that binds marijuana to the CBDs. So why did we evolve to it, or was it there? And you talk about prophetic revelations when Bob Marley said, it shall be the healing of the nation. So let the research continue, let the science speak, and we will better understand, the components of marijuana. We talk about this component. They're looking at liver recovery. They talk about this components, looking at weight loss and how it interacts with the stomach. So there's so many components within marijuana that is yet to be studied with clarity. So I am for medicinal marijuana in terms, but I will say this. In 1985, a huge pharmaceutical company created a medication that's a derivative of marijuana and has made billions of dollars on that. So these are the kind of things that we have to fully understand, right? And one of my books I wrote, it's a novel, but it touches on how that part works in terms of where you get the source to create these medications that you now make billions and billions of dollars off the third world countries. There's a lot of things going on, and I will continue to speak on it. We might have missed the boat in the islands on medicinal the medicinal marijuana, and even up here in the United States, I'm talking about the young black entrepreneurs should have been in that space versus who is really controlling it right now. So that's big. I speak on that, and there's a lot more to it. I talk about the war on drugs and fabrications and things like that. The other component, which I taught all over this country talking about, and this is why I was in Atlanta at the Omni Center at CNN in 2011 or 2012. I spoke about the utilization of mobile technology in surgical education. I was the first one in this country, I can say that, and anyone who wants to dispute that, who created surgical education content for the iPhone. I had several apps out there. So I was going around the country, lecturing on that. Now we're talking about virtual reality and augmented reality, things like that. That's the next step. But I still talk about the technology and things like that.
That is very, very impressive. Very good information. I hope that our viewers are taking all of this in, because this is free information, guys. So make sure you take it in. But even one of the things that you talk about was, a lot of times people don't do research, or they don't try to get more information. And if one person say, well, this is wrong, and this, you have a group of people that tell you, well, this is why you can't use this or can't do that. They just take that as the gospel,
Right.
and you're right that we have to either go do a little more research and find out for ourselves, because especially the
Yeah.
internet, there's so many crazy things on there that thank you for that and that information. And one thing we need to learn, that do your research, and if you're not sure, go ahead and ask someone. When I do research, I'll ask my husband, I'll ask my daughter, just to make sure, that what I'm doing is right. So very, very good. Thank you. So with all of this behind you, though, what would you say defines you as, Dr.
Mhm.
Dangleben?
Yeah. Well, that's to me, I call my I joke and I say I'm an onion. And it's,
Yeah.
what do you mean by that? I say I have several layers, and I can flavor the food, but I can also make you cry. And
Good one.
people laugh at that, but I mean that in the sense that I don't take nonsense from anybody anymore.
Mm,
Um, but at the same time, I consider myself at this stage of my life, I consider myself a humanitarian,
mhm.
with a new purpose in the last 4 to 5 years in passing on knowledge. I have tried different pathways to reach people and explain things, but sometimes it's difficult, right? And so I've gotten to the point where I have I'm working very hard on extracting the toxicities that are around me. But I view myself. I think everybody deserves a chance. I think everybody deserves a second chance, maybe even a third based on the circumstances. But toxicity in life is a hard thing. So I say to myself, I'm a humanitarian, and I meet people where they are. I don't curl up my nose. I don't wear, I wear suits where it's appropriate, but this is who I am. And I want people to understand that that's what it should be about. So when I speak to, in the, like I said, if you speak in the boardroom or if I speak to someone on the street, it's respect, and that's how it should be. So I will say this. I talk about the onion example, but I am simplicity wrapped in complexity. If you understand what I mean by that, because many people try to come into my brain and try to say, well, how do you do this and how do you do that? I want to impart some of that knowledge, but a lot of that has to come from deep inside yourself,
Yeah.
and that in of itself sometimes is very difficult to impart from yourself to onto someone else.
Yeah, very good, very good. Even you talk about humanitarian work that you've done, and we both know we're both from Dominica. What are your desires for Dominica in that aspect?
My desires for Dominica. I had a lot of desires for Dominica, a lot of vision for Dominica that I even outlined in algorithm and schematics. But many people are not listening. So we talk about hopes and dreams earlier on in the show.
Mhm.
I love those words, but I also despise those words. What do I mean by that? You can hope and dream, but at
Mhm.
some point these dreams have to become reality. Action has to, ideas have to become action, and that's what you want to do. So getting back to the question that you posed, my vision for Dominica is to get back to togetherness, to get back to good health, and to get back to understanding who we are as a people, the diversity of us as a people, whether you're Kalinago, whether you're of African descent, or whatever you may be, that we get back to that and respect each other. And I think we've lost a lot of that in Dominica, to the point where the friction is so much that the tires have worn out. And that to me is very, very troubling. Dominica used to have the best primary care in the Caribbean, and I cannot say that it's so anymore. So that is my hope for Dominica, is that the people, they can understand their value, and we can have a good healthcare system. We can build back an economy where the people do not have to depend, and mendicancy and poverty and drugs and alcohol can be minimized, and just, as a matter of fact, I'll say eradicated. Because right now, what is happening in not just in Dominica but in the Caribbean is this concept. I call it colonialism 2.0. I might be getting a little deep here, but the problem is this. The problem is the things that our forefathers fought for, and grandmothers too, fought for, has now been diminished, and we're back in neocolonialism, and the youths of the Caribbean are now depending on handouts from places like China, and that to me is very, very, very disturbing, when we're supposed to be an independent nation. I
Yeah.
speak the truth. We need to get back to the village mentality. Dominicans are fighting each other for nonsense.
Yeah. So, but with that, and then I know I have the same heart that I want to, the Unity in Dominica want to do stuff for Dominica. What do you think some of the steps are that we need to take, or what needs to happen though for something to break? Something needs to happen. We know that. What is it?
Yeah, that question is a loaded question, because it needs to. One of the biggest things that we need to do as Black people, period, whether it's Dominica, whether it's the United States, whether it's Africa, is break the chains of mental slavery.
Yes.
That is the thing that has crippled us as a people. And I think if you read the Frantz Fanon, or you follow Steve Biko and that type of frame of mind, you will understand what I'm talking about. That we need to break the chains of mental slavery and understand that these handouts that we're getting, we're better than that. And that's what we need to start doing in Dominica, is that breaking these bonds, breaking this mental slavery, so we can understand we are better together. We were better when we were together.
Yeah.
Right? So what has happened? The divisiveness has taken over. So for us to be able to come together and sit at a table, so we can put our differences aside, that we need to put the politics aside, put the religion aside, etc. And honestly, I will say it here on this platform, I don't mince word. Dominica needs a change of government, period. The government is tired. 20 years. And we have not much to show for it. We've lost our pride. And it's shameful.
Wow. Yes. Yes. Even earlier on when we were talking, we even talk about, and I know I went there 2015, and I know there was a hurricane and stuff. I was really shocked to see what my village looked like, and even to this day to see how it looked like. And sometimes I see things on the news and stuff like, I'm like, whoa, this is Dominica, the land that we love. And
Yeah.
I really don't even know how it's gonna happen. We just have to believe it's possible. Maybe there's a group that's gonna come out and stand up, stand strong. I don't know, but I know something needs to come.
We need to appeal to the youth. And in terms of your village, I want to shout out to Marilyn Pascal, because I did run into her when I was down there for Erica, a true patriot down there in Coolibia Street. Yeah. We have to appeal to the youths and let them understand, because the 20 and 25-year-olds, they don't understand the Dominica that we knew. and what Dominica was and was on the track of becoming. And I go to certain islands. We travel a lot, and I go to islands, and I'm like, this is what Dominica should be like after all these years. I mean, I left 29 years ago, and I go back and forth. But the point of the matter is, we need to empower the youths, man. We need to break. One thing people don't understand is this: universal and global everything is not the solution sometimes. So everybody getting a college degree is not a solution. And these are the things that governments and these politicians use to entrap the youths, and so every household will have this and that and that. No, the machinery that runs a country is more than just a college educated person, right? We had fishermen, we had agriculture, we had good masons and good carpentry, and these guys had the greatest talents that I was jealous of some of these guys. You know what I mean? So that is what we need to get back to. The substance of what we are as a people, the diversification, is what is important.
Well, thank you for that. This is really powerful and really great information. And even as I continue reaching out and talking to different people to see how we can even, like you said, the youth, how we can reach them and empower them, to make a difference. So we just want to give a shout out to everyone in Dominica, to all our friends and family over there, and Barbados too. You guys know I got to shout out Barbados because we're together now. But I still have family over there, and I know my heart really it aches for my island sometimes, and I'm just praying to God that somehow, some way, the change will come. And I know saying it is one thing. We really have to, be proactive, put into action, and whatever we can do behind the scenes, that's what we're going. That's my promise. That whatever I can do, I'm going to do. So, and that's bringing young men like yourself, young women that can show our young people it is possible. It is possible. You can your dreams. You can reach for your dreams, but like you said, you can have hopes and dreams, but you have to do something about it.
Right. Exactly. And one thing is, and failure is accepted. Failure is acceptable. Failure should actually not make you weaker. It should make you stronger. Talk about pitfalls.
Yeah.
But the problem with the youths is that a lot of them want instant gratification, and we have to teach them the patience and the step and the action that is going to take, and the hard work to get where you want. But everybody has been given so much that they expect it now every time.
Yeah, and I think that's you really hit on it, that when they start giving them stuff, you know what, we're just gonna give you some money. We just, rather than giving them, say, you know what, the land is empty, we're gonna work the land. We have some empty buildings there, let us open some factories. I actually sent a proposal to Dominica a few years ago that I wanted to open a school down there for sewing and fashion, and that literally just, I don't know, they just shove it off. Because to me, that would have at least put about 200 people employed, and having the young women, the young men being trained to, whether it's to sew or to design. And it was so huge, because even with them training to sew, then they could actually start outsourcing stuff. Everything is sourced out like to China. I'm like, what if all the designers I know in the US send their stuff to Dominica to make? Do you know how much money we could make? And that would have helped so many people, but it just got crashed.
No, you're right.
For that, but we're moving on and to better things, and we're gonna keep empowering those that want to be empowered, those that want to learn, those that want to make that difference. They'll come forth, and we're there for them. Right. So, but tell us more about the Surgery Education Network.
Yeah, a lot of people do. When Surge ResNet is my name on Facebook, and I've never hid between Surge ResNet. I owned the Surgery Resident Network. I started the first Surgery Resident Network, social network in the United States in 2010, 2011. Wow. So it was Surgery Resident Network, and then I changed it for wider scope to Surgery Education Network. But the address is still Surge ResNet. See, surgeres.net. So that's my name on Facebook. And a lot of people don't understand that was my first Facebook account. So that's why I go by that name. But the Surgery
Okay.
Education Network was really, it's still there. It's a don't use it as much, but it's a repository of surgical videos and PowerPoint presentations that any surgical resident or physician across the world can jump on there, become a member, and have free content. So
That's,
that's what the Surgery Education Network is. I
that's
own that.
oh good. So we're gonna spread that word around. So because I think that is good information that if you after you've done something, to share it, and that's
Right.
amazing. Going back a little, just going back piggyback a little back to the Caribbean. I see that when I read your resume and stuff, the Caribbean Health Awareness Magazine, and also the Caribbean Medical Education Institute. Tell us more about these.
hmm Well, one is in the pipeline. But let me. Caribbean Health Awareness is actually a Facebook page that I started. I'm not very active on there anymore. But we published 4 magazines, and I must say I'm very thankful that many of the Caribbean nurses, with a large group from Dominica, wrote articles in those, through the time that we had it. The only thing about us is we don't we don't
You just
support we don't support to the point of enhancement. So we put out 4 magazines, and they did not do very well. I thought they were well put, and a lot of content. So we still own that magazine. I was maybe going towards maybe a twice a year type thing. But in terms of support, the support is not there. We talk a good talk. I published a book for someone, just for example, and hundreds and hundrds of likes on Facebook,
mm,
and then we only sold 25 books. See, and that's the whole point. It's Facebook can be a very foggy mirror,
mm,
when you stand in there, and that's. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. The Caribbean, this is going to be, hopefully, something that we can leave behind forever. It's called the Caribbean Medical Institute, CMEI, Caribbean Medical Education Institute, which is going to be launched very soon. It's very robust in terms of what we're doing. It's for every single healthcare professional, from the medical assistant to the physician assistant to nurses, medical students, etc. So I am very proud that we're going to present this to the world. It's been a lot of hard work on that. So,
very good. That's amazing. To even know you, like, wow, he did this, and I mean, if anything, that should be really empowering and encouraging to anyone that is listening, that is watching,
mhm.
to know that your dreams are possible. You can accomplish all of this. And like you said, you started because when I read in your bio, you said you were I think you work at you were a security guard, but I think there
And
was
I was, yeah, I drove cab. I drove cab in Elmont, New York, and
yes. And
that's
today
a
here
lifetime
you
lifetime
are
ago.
creating apps and creating all this networks that
Mhm.
for the world. And you sometimes people look at negative things and they focus on that, and then there's so many positive that we can focus on and say, you know what, I can do this, I want to do this. But the thing is, you have to be willing, and you have to know it's not easy, it's not a microwave quick stuff. No one's going to hand you
Right.
anything. You're going to have to
Yeah.
know in your mind that I'm going to have to work for this. But if you want it bad enough, I think we can do
Yeah.
it. So
When
congratulations.
people think sometimes I'm dismissive, but I've been in several scenarios so many times when people say, well, I've done this, I have this idea, I said that ideas are a dime a dozen. Ideas means nothing to me until you implement, and that's a big thing. And another group of people say, well, I have an idea, but I'm not going to tell you. Well, I say, keep it and take it to your grave. I share my ideas with people, so and then
Yeah,
we could discuss it and enhance it. You see, and that's what we need to do, because we not just breaking the bonds, the mental slavery, but the jealousy and envy that
yeah.
we have as a
Stop
people
preaching now.
is crippling us. And so when I present something, it's not about me trying to line my pocket. My pocket has been lined by my hard work.
Yeah.
I'm trying to elevate and motivate
Help. Yes.
someone else.
That brings me to another question though, and what do you think when I look even at myself as a designer and all the products that I have, and we're also you can also talk about the CarrySwap, and then you just talk about the books that you had the stuff on Facebook and sold only 25. I know an author. I have like three books and they're all on Amazon. I have
Oh,
just different types of products, but then the support is not there. People talk about, yeah, we'll support you. What do you think? What is that mentality? I don't understand that.
yeah. You see, so I'll jump into CarrySwap. I created CarrySwap in 2015 because I saw how many of us are all over the world, and I saw eBay and Amazon and Etsy, all that being put out there. So I created that to really enhance the person who has one or two products who cannot afford a website, and even the people who have the website. And this is something I'll get back to. So it's an e-commerce site that I invested a lot in building. So anyone can just come on there and open a shop for free. We take 3%. But we have the culture that say, oh, you take 3%. Yes, because Etsy, I think, takes 5%, et cetera, et cetera. This is how it works, right? So 3 cents on every dollar goes to CarrySwap. The rest, 97 cents, goes to you. And we created this platform. We had to shut it down because we did not get and then now we relaunched it recently, and it's sort of, it's picking up, it's chugging along, it's picking up speed. But I'm telling people say, well, I have my own website, I'm selling my own stuff. What you just said there is so important for people to understand. Even if you have your website, to be in a community type platform, you get more exposure, right? So most people most of the stuff on Amazon is from private companies that have their own websites too, right?
Yeah,
so people are like, oh no, I have my own website. And CarrySwap has a function that links directly to your website. So it drives traffic either way. And these are the things that I'm trying to let people understand, the business concept of behind this. Well, I have my website. How many people are coming to your website? Right? Whereas if somebody comes to CarrySwap and search for a specific item, and what I'm trying to do is this. I'm trying to find the people who do the best work in one or two things.
Yeah.
Right? So Tanya, I'll say Tanya Green. Tanya Green is, I mean, that coconut cheese is amazing. Right? And she's out there on CarrySwap, doing her thing. Right? My brother down in Florida, herbs and things. I got my cinnamon, my moringa, right? So if we can find all the blocks of people within our community that has one or two great products to put on CarrySwap, then it makes sense. And that's what it's about.
Yeah.
This people come at me with the ignorance about, well, I have my, you'll be surprised the things that people say to me. People think that, oh, I'm just trying to make money. I'm like, I've made my money. You don't know my worth. But what I say to them is, you have your website. Okay, go do your thing. But they don't understand what we're trying to do in terms of that wheel and the spokes. You need the spokes for that wheel to keep going. And this is community building. And I tell you, people need to drop that attitude of the individuality. We're better together.
Yes, that's very true. Better together. And I think that is that mentality that our people have, especially our Black people and our Caribbean people. I've been in different areas where I see the other races help each other, they support each other. And for some reason, I think, like you said, sometimes it's just jealousy. They would rather, talk about you if you see you fail and like, oh, whoa, she thinks he can do all this. They think he can do all this, rather than saying, you know what, how can I, instead of going somewhere else and buy a T-shirt, and how can I support, my brother? Because then that money comes back into our community. The other thing, they'll be like, oh, such and such, I have a T-shirt for $10 and you said it for $20. To me, the price is not the big deal. For me, I'm putting my money into a Black company. I'm putting my money into a Caribbean person that, hey, when you hire, you're going to hire another person from the Caribbean. And sometimes they don't want to help you, but they want to come to you for stuff, like free stuff.
They come to me for a lot of stuff. They come to me for a lot of stuff, and people don't understand is when they say stuff, it's not just money, right? I take the time. I take the time to answer every query, every medical question. I answer these things. It takes a lot of brain power and things like that to serve people in that way. You know what I mean? But then the same people that you are that comes to you for that type of favor will not do the slightest thing for you, slightest things for you. You know?
Wow. But you know what? We're gonna those of us that are diligent, we're gonna continue doing what we're doing, and even if it's five of us, I'm praying that with this platform that we have, we can reach even more. You know, we're reaching people all over the world, so prayerfully we will be able to reach more people. They will understand this is community. We have to support each other, which, you know, even when we go into the other question that we have, we'll see that the more that we're unified, the more that we work together, you know, it's much better. One of the things I saw that you sent me a picture, and it was like a lot of books. Can you talk to us about your books?
Yeah,
And where
you
you can
know,
find them, where they're available, and things like that.
well, I wrote 2 books for Springer Publishing, Acute Care General Surgery and Options in the Management of the Open Abdomen, which is surgical textbooks. The Upside Slayer book is the second edition for McGraw-Hill is coming out in November. That is, yeah, I'm happy I did that. I just signed another contract with them for another book, which we can talk about on a different show. So with Springer and McGraw-Hill, to me, that's a big accomplishment. But to me, the biggest accomplishment is one of these books right there. I will show you. I have a couple handy. I self-published Once Upon a Time in Dominica with Zenita Lee. That's published. That's a children's book, highly illustrated book. I did this Black Consciousness book with a group out of St. Vincent. You know, big shout out to them. And then several other books. So I think this book right here, I just did Take Your Knee Off My Neck, which is poetry. So I think there's a lot of books that I put out right now on my own publishing company. I started Dangleben Publishing House, and we have done several books. I put out a book with Shirley Allen, a very beautiful, well illustrated book. It's a trilogy of her growing up in Lapland, and that's the whole point of going back. You know, Dominica. We just did the idea Sanford, a young Kalinago daughter of Annette Sanford. We just did the Kalinago book for her, well illustrated. So that is what we want to do, and that's why when I talk about Marcus Garvey and what he wanted to do, you know, we always go back to the 50s and the 60s, and we never go back to Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington, and understand the whole concept of doing. You know, doing the way they took him down is a totally different story and a different talking of itself. But these books I publish myself. I do the layout. We have editors that look at things, and we put these books out ourselves. And it's such, to me, this means more than the big companies that I have published with. I do have this book right there. I want to talk a little bit about it because I write medical thrillers now. And I wrote a book called The Hidden Code, which is coming out from a company in New York called Austin McCulley Publishing, which is a well-known publishing company. That is supposed to be coming out really soon. But I decided that I've written 3 novels. They're going to publish one. I published one. And then I'm going to publish the other one on my own company. So that is the extent in which we're moving. So, yeah, yes, I got the publisher out of New York to do my first medical thriller. But then I said to myself, you know what? I can do this. So this will be out in about a week. And I'm hoping The Hidden Code, which is the first book I wrote, will be out with this company in New York soon. But everything I write has a lot about either the Caribbean or Africa in there, and I always connect the roots.
Very good, very good. Keeping that culture and keeping that again that community thought going process together, and that is really really amazing. And I'm just praying that, you know, that you will get even, and I know you say you're not doing it just to make money. You're doing it like to give information and to empower others. I pray for good success in it, that it will be, really good sales, and it will encourage other people to write their book. What would you say to someone that is thinking about that, or might not even thinking about writing books?
Well, if you've thought of writing a book, start it. And the technology these days, right? Remember the folks that used to write on the typewriters, man. Just imagine what you have right now in terms of technology to use. I dictate a lot, speech to text. So you want to write, you have an idea, start building it, and it takes a while, but put the layout, the bullet points down, and then grow those bullet points and expand on it, and then you can get a book out of it. Not everyone is meant to write. I always had it in me, and I put it to sleep for many, many years, and now it's awakening. But use your imagination also. And I say, people who write are the ones that read a lot. You got to read. You got
Mhm.
to read.
Yes, yes. Read,
Mm,
research,
yeah.
and that's good, good encouragement. I always tell people, like, everybody, we all have a book in us, but are you willing to take the time again to read,
Yeah.
to do the research, and do the writing, and get it out there? And with technology, with Google and everything these days, and I mean, you pretty much anyone can write a book these days.
Right.
And it is
Yes.
not super costly. So I
Hmm.
encourage you, those of you who have a book in you, there's someone out there in the world that's waiting to hear your story. You
Right.
might be able to empower them. Our time has come and gone, and I left. We have just two more questions. Well, we have more, but there's two that I really want to talk about. And
Hmm.
I know that this one is a topic that keeps on going, but concerning the Black lives, and everybody's like, "Do you talk about it on all your shows?" Yes, I do, because as much as I can, because I have not seen much changing. Just yesterday, I read a story. I think there were like two incidents that happened even after that major incident. So it's almost like someone is not getting the memo or whatever it is. Like, I don't see much changing. So,
Hmm.
well, let me read the questions. I would say, with all that's happening in 2020, the fight of Black Lives Matter and injustice that has been impacting us for over 400 years. What is your opinion on the way forward for Black persons, and especially Caribbean descents, their approach towards integrating and achieving in this environment? Loaded question.
It's not no. I've answered it throughout the course of the hour of
Yeah.
coming together and breaking the chains of mental slavery. We need to stop. We need to stop this agenda of destruction of our brothers and sisters, because I could tell you, even Marcus Garvey. I go back to that. Even Marcus Garvey, when J. Edgar Hoover wanted to take him down, he started bringing black people into the FBI at the time to destroy Garvey, right? And in the words of W.E.B. Du Bois, when Garvey was arrested, this is the same thing that's happening now. We're using each other against each other when the other
Mm,
person is controlling the agenda. So we have to be very, very, very careful. We need to start breaking that bonds
nice,
of
very
mental
nice.
slavery and start looking to Africa. And what do I mean by that? Africa in the next 30 to 50 years is going to be the greatness of this world, and it's happening in Ghana, in Botswana, in Kenya, and we have to learn to embrace that part of us, and I'm not saying to abandon what's happening here, the movement, but we have to understand and start reading not just about Martin and Malcolm, but
Mm,
read about Steve Biko, read about the Franz Fanon, the depths of understanding who you are as a black man and what Marcus Garvey wanted for us. And these are the things are opening up in Africa, and it's going to be up to every single one of us. What I was very proud of is what happened I think it is in Atlanta, where this group of families bought 19 acres of land
yeah,
to
that's
create their own. This is
good.
what's been happening in the white communities in this country for many, many years, the gated communities, right? That we're not
Yeah,
welcome in. So we have to stop this mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. We
yes.
need to get on that train and start moving towards unity and stop selling each other out,
Mm,
right? Because many of my friends many of my white friends come to me and they say, well, why don't you tell people about your success? I cannot speak about my success as a surgeon without talking about my struggle.
Yes.
It's all tied in together, right?
Yeah.
And I used to be bald for 15 years. I grew my hair, and it's a symbolism. It's a symbolism, right? I don't wear gold chains, and I don't wear $250 sneakers. I don't do that. There's no need for that. We need to
Exactly.
start building our own wealth and a generational wealth, and do what others do and do it well, and look to each other.
Yes.
Look to each other. We need to
Totally.
start uniting the Caribbean again. We need
Yes.
to reunite the Caribbean again. And I spoke to Jerry George, may he rest in peace. We spoke about this, uniting the Caribbean and getting rid of greedy leaders. Africa is changing. That happened in Africa many, many times. It's still happening. But we need to look within ourselves as Black people and
Yeah.
embrace that. And we'll say, well, this is what's going to happen. This is what's going to happen. No, as long as we stay in here, the Floyd happened, right? Breonna Taylor, these things have been going on for many, many years.
Yes.
We have forgotten. We have forgotten. And, every 9/11, everybody comes on Facebook and puts a picture, never forget. And then for the rest of the year, they forget, right? The
Yeah.
same thing with us. We need to stay focused on the agenda and
Yes.
build economic power so we can sit at the table and discuss. We've been divided based on religion and politics, that once we sit down, we start arguing about things that's not gonna get us to the next level. So that is my take on all this.
Very true, man. This is loaded wisdom. I have to go back and watch this myself to just see that it's a lot. And I really, really appreciate all this wealth of knowledge and this empowerment and information that you're giving to us. And me, it's not just hearing stuff to just be all, oh well, she got a show and she said no. I'm looking for information, is looking how I can help. How can we make it happen? And I can't wait to have my items on the site as well. I'm encouraging all our people to get this stuff together. I was just telling to my husband, I was like, I need to take the professional pictures so I can send it there, so I can put on this. I did went on there already and sign up. I just have not posted stuff on there yet.
Right.
But to encourage our people, there is stuff out there for us. Don't expect someone to just hand you stuff. You have to be willing to work, to do the work. So in closing, tell us your advice on how we can cope with the many challenges, trials, and obstacles that can distract and hinder us from reaching our goals, like feeling defeated, our triggers, and how should we respond. So pretty much the closing, Wakanda forever, give us a closing.
Yeah. Before I close, though, I just want to shout out my parents, my mother, especially my father, who passed earlier in the year. And I have his spirit within me, because my father was a no nonsense, kind of guy. So big shout out to my parents looking down on me. Now, where do we go? And how, when you're beaten down, there's two paths. Either you go further down, or you gain that strength to come back up. And I always say that you cannot beat me enough down to the ground that I'm not going to stand up. We have to have a path, right? Many, many directions in terms of what happens when we fail, right? What is next? We're not going to be defeated. You have to be able to pick yourself up. And I talked about it earlier, finding out what the problem is, extracting the toxicities in your life, whether it's family or friends, quote unquote. You got to move past that. Try another angle, right? These are the things that's going to pick you up again, right? Sometimes it means quitting your job, because sometimes that is the problem. So it has to be able to, you surrounding yourself. You are really what you surround yourself with. I think that's very, very important. So, I go and I walk with the brothers every Sunday. I'm off for the mental health awareness. That is fellowship for me. You know what I mean? We come together. So these are the kind of things that's going to bring you up. Like-minded people, find like-minded people that's going to be that fire under your feet to lift you up, because the toxicity will bring you down. And even if it brings you down, you got to collect yourself, whether it's meditation, whether it's yoga, right? When we go into the drugs and we go into the other things, there is nothing coming out of that but destruction and negativity. So that is where we need to go, is finding like-minded people and bind socially and economically and bring each other up. That's it.
Very good, very good, and that's a good closing. I really thank you for all your
Thanks for having me.
information, for educating us, for being open and being present, being true. You know, because that's what we need. We need truth. We need transparency. So I really just want to thank you, Dr. Dangleben, for coming on the Imagine Me TV show. And again, so this is how dreams are made. And I thank you for encouraging me and for supporting me and taking the time to come out. And that is what we do our best to do, to try to empower each one. They say each one teach one. But we want to say thank you for watching us. If you like our show, we want you to consider subscribing to our television network. We do weekly interviews. We bring the best real life stories. We offer tips and strategies, as you guys can see tonight. And we're always looking for amazing guests. So if you have a story to tell and you can empower the community, you can encourage the community, just give us a shout out. You can go right on the channel that you are right now. You can send us an email. Is Imagine Me TV, real life, real talk with Arthur Lawrence, and the information is all here, you guys. I just really want to say thank you. And as we bring a doctor back on the line, we just want to say thank you to you again and to all our viewers. We have a lot of our people right now listening and responding and sending messages and different things. And I think this was one of our best shows. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me.
Having you again.
All right. Oh yeah, I'm here. We could talk about many things.
Yes, and then we talk about some other things that we're gonna get. We're gonna do some great things, not just in the US. I'm very interested in Africa.
Yeah,
very interested in that.
We have to be. All right.
Yeah, thank you. God bless you and have a really good day. Thank you.
God bless.